I put a post out on my Facebook page a while ago in which I asked the question, which one of these three emotions would you like to no longer feel? Is it A, sadness, B, anger, or C, fear? And the number of people that responded to that by saying, I don't ever want to feel any of them again. And I kind of got this sense that they meant it, really meant it from their boots. And I thought about that and I thought, well, that's pretty impressive or significant. And I thought about my clients who I see, and I think about the number of clients who come to me expressing a similar sort of thing. I don't want to feel those feelings anymore. And often they'll refer to them as bad feelings. And when we talk about what those feelings are, often it's difficult for people to describe them because they feel too big. They feel too big and too bad and too much. And there's a lovely piece of theory in TA, in transactional analysis, which is the psychotherapy that I practice. And this piece of theory says that there are 4 original emotions. And out of those 4, everything is like a subset. And what it says in this theory is that our purpose as human beings is to have a rich experience of the world. And part of what feelings do for us is enable us to have that rich experience. So these feelings become quite important because they're our way of knowing sort of what matters in the world and what's really important to us and living that importance more fully. So these 3 of these 4 emotions in this piece of theory, the first one is sadness. So sadness as an emotion is about loss. It's about us having had something that mattered to us, which we no longer have anymore. So perhaps the loss of a loved one, for example. And the sadness that we feel is part of how we know how this person or this experience that we've lost really mattered to us, was really, really important. So the sadness in itself is not bad. It's a reflection on how much we have attached to this thing or this person and how much it means. But the second one is anger. So anger tends to get a really bad rap. Anger is often seen as being a destructive emotion, but actually that's not the case. Anger is the emotion that we use when we want to change the world around us. When somebody steps into the queue in front of us and we go, oi, do you mind? There's a queue here. That's driven by anger. Anger is the root of determination, of frustration, of wanting to make a big difference about stuff that matters. So actually, feeling angry about the way the world is right now is a really constructive force and can be used for massive good. And every once in a while, fear. Because actually we live in quite a scary world. It's not completely safe. We can get ill, we can fall down and hurt ourselves, we could get hit by a bus, we could lose a loved one, all sorts of things could happen, a major shake-up at work that's coming down the pipeline. And fear is an emotion that teaches us that something is coming down the pipeline, something is in our future that we need to do something about to protect ourselves, to keep ourselves safe. It's a really, really useful emotion to have because it's about, again, that we matter or that the circumstances around us changing matter and we can do something about it. Now, none of these 3 are particularly pleasant emotions to experience. They're not quite what would be your ideal Sunday afternoon to sit down and feel any of these 3. But they are massively important because they're about what matters and they're about how we exist in the world around us. So when my clients come to me saying that they don't want to experience any bad emotions anymore, often I think this is what they're talking about. And the problem is that if we deny ourselves the experience of feeling these, then I think often we miss out on this one as well, which is joy. If we don't experience these, we often experience far less joy in our lives. And that, I think, is what most people are actually after. I think the first thing for a lot of people who feel overwhelmed by their feelings is to stop feeling overwhelmed. But once people start to get a bit more used to feeling their feelings, the overwhelmed feeling goes down and the joy comes back up. The 2 things kind of happen together. What I notice a lot of people doing is trying not to feel anything at all. And at best they end up numb, which I don't think is what people want ultimately. So I just wanted to say a little bit about feelings and how important they are, and how they can feel really big, but ultimately the reality is they're still just feelings. They don't have to be something that we're necessarily scared of.